It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited to be with you today. I have got a great guest plural for you. I have Jessica Ferguson and Ahu Johnson. They are both part of the adult education program that's actually part of the Fayetteville public school system. And I wanted to welcome them on the podcast. As I told you before, and we've mentioned this time and time again, we try to expand this podcast to talk about a number of different subjects, the least of which is certainly business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in the Ozarks. And this certainly qualifies as life, right? When you think of education, when you think of all the things that we go throughout our lives to better ourselves, education is probably one of the biggest commitments that we make. And so I'm excited to talk with Jessica and Ahu today because I think it's important for people to realize, I mean, the statistics are out there with regard to how many people don't actually finish their high school and get their diploma, and why it's important to, get that credential, get that GED, if for nothing else, just for yourself to have a sense of accomplishment and know that, hey, I can actually do this and then move on to bigger things, right? It's just one step at a time. And so we're going to learn a lot about the adult education program with Fayetteville, and then also hopefully these guys know a little bit or can point us in the right direction for some of these other cities in Northwest Arkansas. And of course, the idea is that if Fayetteville's doing something, Springdale's probably not far behind, Rogers is probably not far behind, and Bentonville's probably not far behind. So without further ado, Jessica and Ahu, how are you guys doing?
Great.
We're doing great, Randy. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about this, because a lot of people may not realize that the adult education program sits under the Fayetteville public school system. So how does that, because you guys have been there for a while.
Yes, we really have. I think it's been, I'm not exactly sure the years, but I know for over 20 years.
Okay. I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah. And so we've been under the Fayetteville public school system the whole entire time. And we believe it's a really good partnership and marriage with the district.
Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit about how the adult education program works and exactly what you're capable of doing. I know before we got it record, you were talking about learning English, but then also if somebody wants to get their GED. So maybe kind of give the listeners an idea of all that the adult education program encompasses under the Fayetteville public school system.
Yes, we do a lot of things. So primarily, it's for all adults. We do work with some minors that do not complete their GED through the school district, but we do a lot of things. I mean, people often think, oh, it's just GED, but it's so much more. We have not only GED, but we provide services for post-secondary entering and taking tests and getting prepared for college. We do ESL services, which is a huge part of our program and actually probably the biggest part of our program.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also we have some certificate programs like CPR. We work with NTI in Springdale. That's another adult education center that we offer the CNA program.
Okay.
And what we are doing, the vehicle operator, emergency vehicle operator certificate program, paraprofessional program for the adults who want to work in the school system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a lot of options out there for people that are available to take advantage of. How are people finding out about it? Because I know when we spoke, Jessica, you said one of the biggest challenges that you have is that you guys are like the best kept secret, right? That nobody knows about it. And of course, we're doing this podcast, so we want to shed light on what you're doing, but what are you guys doing to try to overcome that? And what do you want people to know that are listening to this that may have a family member or they themselves might be the perfect candidate to utilize your services? What would you want to share with them?
Yeah. Like we were discussing earlier, that the landscape of education has changed so much during COVID and now after COVID that we really want people to know our services and that we're here. And I mean, although we are a quick Google, sometimes you're not really sure what you're looking for, or you don't have the answers. I mean, we really want people to know that we're here and that we have all of these incredible services. I mean, half the time we even have community ed where you can take dance lessons.
That's true.
Yeah. And so
art classes.
There's things that are coming back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And all of our services are free, except for when community ed is running, they're very affordable rates. And so, how I think maybe it's becoming harder for people. I'm not really sure. I think during COVID, it became more of I'm not sure if education was on the forefront of everyone's minds at the time.
More like survival.
Survival, it felt like. And fear. And so, just kind of, our class sizes are still very small. And so, we've always been a very safe place. We're located downtown in Fayetteville. We're walkable. We're all over social media, although we could probably do better with that. Right. We're there. We're here.
We're there. Yeah. And also for ESL classes, I want to tell what ESL, because some people don't know what is that ESL class. Sure. English as a second language. Right. So these classes are for the students who moved into this country for many reasons, family, jobs, or studying, or they cannot just live in their countries anymore. They are refugees, and then they restart a brand new life, and they need some English to adopt this new country. So they come to us and we try to help them with their English. So we offer classes in the mornings and in the evenings too. Okay. So 2 evenings we are there for them, for the people who have to work during the day. They have options. They have options. And for families that they have to work and they have kids. So this is the hardest part. Sometimes parents take turns taking care of their children. I have students, fathers attending morning class because mother's working, mothers attending night class because father's working. So they have to take care of their children too. Mm-hmm. But it's hard. And we offer them online classes. We have very nice programs that they are free. Mm-hmm. So we help them how to use them on their phones or laptops, or if they have Wi-Fi's at home, that's another issue. But we try to help them every way. As long as they have the desire, dedication, I want to do this, we are there to help them.
Yeah. So, and I would imagine that a lot of people feel like if they don't complete high school, that, all bets are off. Like there's no solution for them. And I think that seems like to be the biggest disconnect that you run into when I talk to, or the few times that I run into people that haven't completed their high school degree, I'm always encouraging them, hey, you should go back and finish, get that credential, and then move on to some bigger and better things. Because like I said earlier, that sense of accomplishment can propel you into new levels of achievement, new levels of opportunity. And so it seems like that's kind of like your biggest hurdle is how do you help people get beyond just the stigma of not finishing high school and, what it looks like. And I don't want to be the only, adult in this class. Well, everybody's an adult, right? That's the whole idea. You're not going to be in a room with a bunch of ninth graders. I mean,
no, we're not.
No. So everybody is at the same place. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of all coming at this from the same perspective.
That's so true. Yeah. I mean, I think that our staff is so good that, the rapport is just so welcoming. I mean, I think it's a really fun place. And I think we've all been doing it so long. We've seen everything and we let our students know, like our oldest student could be 75 years old and our youngest 17. Yeah. And so it's a really eclectic environment. And it's really interesting because of that. We have this amazing multicultural fair at the end of the year where the mayor comes and the school board comes, and it's colorful and it's cultural and it's so enriching and so rewarding. Our ESL program is just thriving and just amazing. The teachers are amazing.
Oh, thank you. GED teachers are amazing too. But as you mentioned,
having a little love fest here between the two of you guys. So
it's, as you mentioned, the students who are in our classrooms have more or less the same problem.
Sure.
So it's easy to motivate them. And in ESL classes, I am the person, to give myself as an example because I am a lifelong ESL learner myself. Sure. So We share our personal experience in the classroom. And actually, I need to mention this, ESL students, their English level, when they reach to some level, they want to do their GED classes too. So we have students that we transfer to Jessica's class.
Yeah.
Or higher levels.
Right. And then and then soon, once they're with us for a while, it's like what you're saying, Randy. It's like first, the hard part is saying, okay, I feel really scared to come. I'm an adult. Am I going to be the only one? And then it's saying, okay, now you're almost done with your GED and we're still not done with you. We want to make sure that you have some kind of employment to enter into. So we have job readiness trainings and we have job certificates, and we really want them to leave with some sort of credential. We also have an amazing career counselor, and she works sometimes directly with workforce for scholarships for, I think we talked before, Randy, about trade schools and saying, okay, college isn't maybe the only way. And so we provide that kind of avenue to help them with scholarships to get into maybe NTI and welding. And so many of our students leave not only with a GED, not only with much better English skills, going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but, you look at other models of countries that have kind of figured it out when it comes to developing their adult workforce. Germany comes to mind. I think like 60 or 70% of all Germans are offered the opportunity to go through some type of trade program to develop their skills, because everybody's not going to work a white collar job.
Right.
Some people are going to do a blue collar job, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, one of the challenges that we have in this country is that, everybody sees all the get rich quick folks and, all the, outstanding and brilliant software people and tech folks that are out there minting millions of dollars. And everybody wants to do that. The reality is everybody can't do that.
Right.
And we also need some people that can sweep the streets. We need some people that can put some ductwork together. We need some people that can plumb a house. We need people that can set up electricity properly so that nobody electrocutes themselves. I mean, all of these are important aspects of our society. It's just that in this country, we have had a challenge in terms of how we grade things, right? And so if you're a blue collar guy or gal, you're kind of less than a white collar person. And I mean, we have to get beyond that, and we have to create a level of respectability for any profession.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, if you think about it, and that's one of the biggest challenges that you run into in this country. And that's why anybody that's out there that is devoting time to developing the next generation and developing the minds of the next generation, you sell them a bad bill of goods if you don't create an opportunity for them to see everything that's possible and not just try to steer them down one path. Because I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. That's so interesting that you say that. Yeah, there is a big gap missing. And I think that although I'm not sure that we fill all of that gap, but we sure are trying.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For my ESL students who have their background from their own countries, they are electricians, plumbers, like you mentioned, but they cannot just start. They don't know how to start, what to do, where to go. Well, you cannot just become a plumber in this country, but there are so many countries that you can, you help someone and then you start your own business one day. So we help them how to become an electrician, what certificate they need. But these are all in English, so they need to improve their English levels first. Or they have certificates from their countries, but they just, had to leave the country that quick that they couldn't bring any documentation with them.
Sure.
So that's the sad part. So we help with that too, how to get it. If they have their transcripts or diplomas with them, it's easier to help. But if there is nothing, there are students who are ready to go back and do their high school diploma work again from the beginning.
Yeah. And so another interesting thing, I think what we do is, and even what we're talking about, is that there is this gap. And so there's maybe people out there, because I mean, who we're serving is such a very small percentage of the population that needs serving. And so, you can still come to us if you already have your GED or if you can already speak great English. I mean, you can come to us and we can provide the services that maybe help with that gap of like, okay, it's like either you don't have your high school diploma or you're in college and then every other thing in between maybe isn't as valued. Mm-hmm. We just try to, I guess, plant the seed of value.
Yeah. And I'm just curious to know how many people make the connection of higher ed once they've gone through your program and then say, you know what, I want to go to NWAC and get my associate's degree and, see where it goes from there. I mean, how often are you able to kind of bridge that gap for people?
I think it happens pretty often.
It happens pretty often. Yeah. Even ESR students, we have, I don't remember all the names now, but every year we send some students to community college or university.
Yeah.
University of Arkansas.
Okay.
It happens pretty often. And so we always just want more people to know about us because we think we're really great.
No, I mean, I think, like I said, when this was originally brought to me and I want to say Damara Baker, who is also a baker and a friend of mine introduced me to you, Jessica. And, she was like, oh, you need to know Jessica and what she's doing. It's an important part of the community that doesn't get enough face time with people. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to tell this story because I think it's important for people to hear that there are programs available. A lot of times I just think people just, everything's the best kept secret and it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
Businesses struggle with that, right? It's like, oh, a business might be doing an event. And you're like, I just heard about this today and the event's tonight. It's like, how did that happen? So even businesses struggle with this, but you've got to understand, I mean, what you guys are doing is so important that I would hope that people would rally around the efforts that you guys are putting out there because you do make a difference in our society as you, again, lift people up, as you educate them, as you engage them where they are and help them, again, to kind of connect the dots in their own lives and, continue to evolve, right? Because my thing is either you grow or you die. Right.
Yeah,
if you're not growing, you die.
True. Right. Exactly.
It really is. I mean, and you can look at that.
I say it like your heart is not beating.
Yeah.
If
absolutely.
you're not growing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I want to encourage it. It might be somebody listening to this that's 25 years old and is embarrassed because 7 years ago you bowed out of school or 8 years ago you bowed out of school, maybe because life hit you on upside the head, which it happens, right? Life sometimes comes at us so fast that we can't react in time. Right. And then before you know it, a year has passed, 10 years has passed. And then it's like, oh, I can never do that. Mm-hmm. Or I don't want to be in a room with a bunch of young kids. It's not like that.
It's not like that. I have students who have been in this country 35, 40 years, couldn't have time to learn any English.
Yeah.
But now, their kids are all adults and they say, it's my time now. And they come to class.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, not just to mention, oh, okay, life hit me. It's been 10 years. It's been too long. And that's a huge part too of just, okay, I don't feel confident enough. But then there's also the group that might be dealing with maybe some sort of learning barrier.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. Dyslexia.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that is also a big population of our students that come and say, you know what? This has always been really hard for me. I couldn't do it. I'm still now even more terrified to do it 10 years out of school. And so our staff is really good with working with learning accommodations.
So I'm glad you bring that up because actually my wife is a dyslexia specialist. So she deals with phonemic awareness and all that good stuff. And that's actually one of the biggest impediments to adults in terms of deciding, you know what, forget about it. It's one of the reasons why the Pew Research did a study and why so many people after college never pick up a book again. But reading, and there's so many people that walk around with undiagnosed dyslexia. It's insane. And 1 in 5 children have dyslexia. So we know that a lot of those kids fall through the cracks and become adults still with that dyslexia. It doesn't go away. You're going to have it for life. And if you don't know how to cope with it, if you don't know how to learn in spite of it, then it can be a problem.
Right. Right. And so you're right. So many people come and say, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just know it's something.
Yeah.
I think something is not right. I just don't read at the rate or at the same comprehension skills as my peers. And so we also provide the service of a free testing program for them to say, okay, all right, now we know what it is and now we can address it. And I would say probably more students in my classroom have accommodations for one reason or another than don't.
Yeah.
And so, all I say is don't quit and I can get you to pass.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Because even 504 designations are with people for life, right? I mean, that's just, it just gives you the ability to gives you extra time to take tests.
Right.
And all of that. I mean, that's important.
Right. Right. I mean, we can get you the accommodations that you need, and it's not as scary as it feels. I mean, we can get you a reader, a private room. We will do whatever it takes for you to reach your goals.
Exactly. And also, I feel like I need to talk about citizenship classes.
Mm-hmm.
We provide that too. I am offering that class because I am a naturalized citizen too.
Yeah,
so I share my own personal experience with these students to help them, go through that interview and they get their certificates.
Yeah, I think it's important. I always laugh at that because I think some people that have gone through citizenship class know more about this country than people that have actually been born here. I mean, my mother-in-law, my wife's family's from Trinidad. And so my mother-in-law is a citizen of the United States and her father is not. And so they've been in this country for years. But, the first chance that she had to go to school and get that citizenship class done, she did it, and then she went through the whole process. I remember my wife talking about it. And this was a long time ago when my wife was much younger, but she was so proud of her mom for going through that process. My wife was born here, so she didn't have to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think people that are from here take it for granted and don't realize.
Well, when I got my certificate, the judge that day, I still remember what he said. He said, "You are our adopted kids." And I feel like that. And he said, the questions you answered in your interview, if we asked those questions to someone walking like Americans in the street, I believe they would have failed.
Yeah. Well, we're not pointing fingers at anybody, but
later on now, high school graduates has to pass the same test to get their diplomas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is really funny. One time we were doing this training and Ahu was leading the training in our school for teachers, and she gave us the test and none of us passed.
Listen, I would venture to say that most adults, if you were given a civics test, would struggle mightily, and you see it like when you watch like some of the late night talk shows and they go out somewhere on Hollywood and they interview people and ask them about like common sense, like what you would think would be common sense history questions. And it's like, I have no idea.
Right.
It's like, if it wasn't, an Instagram or TikTok recently, I have no idea. And that's not a knock on the young crowd. It just in general, ignorance has been bliss for a long time. And unfortunately, you guys are fighting the good fight against that, right? You are really, you're really working hard to make sure that people have an opportunity. And I don't say that with malice or forethought. I mean, when I say it's just a lot of times people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right.
True.
And what you guys do is provide a lens through which people can learn and gain a better understanding about things that then affords them the ability to go out and be a real productive member of society.
We really thank you. Yeah, we do. I mean, even when it's time for voting, we help our students register and we'll give them rides. And we'll talk about
last elections, we went with a group of students to help them to vote.
Yeah, we just really want to help in all the ways. We also, I mean, as we're talking, we keep thinking of all the things that we do. We provide SNAP services also, we really just try to do an overall healthy function for each student.
Yeah.
Wage certificates.
Yeah.
They get
all kinds of things.
All kinds of things. So once they, as you mentioned before, they come and decide to do this, we are there. I can say that myself, 7 days, 24 hours, I share my own phone number with them because they work.
Yeah.
When I'm at school, they cannot reach me. So I say, you cannot call me, because I don't work in the night shift.
Right.
But if you text me, I will 100% get back to you and try to help you. So once they know this, when we build that trust between us, so we help them.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it seems like you would think that, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot on you, right? To do that. And so are you guys hiring more people to work in the adult ed space with you, or do you have enough people right now?
We would love to have some more people, but
as it's like a business, like we said earlier, sometimes our funding is cut for different reasons. And so we have a very small staff, but it's mighty. We would always love more, but we need more students.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think more students would definitely allow you or afford you the opportunity to get more funding?
Yeah, our funding is based on our performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we want to serve more students, not only to keep our doors open, but because our community needs it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as people are listening to this, if somebody's listening and they're up in Rogers or Bentonville or even Bella Vista, or even Springdale for that matter, because we're physically recording this in Fayetteville right now, what would you say to them if they said, yeah, does every city have an adult education program in Northwest Arkansas?
We have Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas Community College has their adult education.
Okay.
Springdale has Northwest Arkansas Technical Institute.
Okay.
That's their adult education.
Okay.
I think Bella Vista has one too. I'm not that sure. But in Arkansas, I can say almost every city. Fort Smith, there is
every county,
has adult education center.
It's definitely something that's drivable and close.
Okay.
For everyone.
Okay. So there are opportunities out there available to everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Great. So in a perfect world, what would you guys be able to do that you're not able to do right now in terms of adult education that you see as such a great need to address?
Oh, that's a really hard one because
that's a hard one.
And I'm not trying to stump you, of course, but I mean, I know there are things that you see, you're like, man, I wish we could address that, but we're not able to because of funding or because of whatever. But it's still a need nonetheless, right? Just because a need doesn't get addressed doesn't mean it's not a legitimate need.
Well, maybe job places, to go to. We work with Tyson and University of Arkansas too, but, I wish we had more teachers to reach more places.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Our outreach. I mean, we're having a hard time for some reason. Hey, we're here at our physical location, but we also haven't mentioned that we will come off site if needed. I mean, we will teach anywhere. And
Lincoln.
Sure. We teach in other cities if they do not have an adult ed program. And so I guess, what do we want people to know? That we're here, but we can be everywhere.
Right.
And if we had, more students, I think our program could grow. And then of course the outreach would be more and helping with education and then therefore helping with employment and then kind of the overall of the stimulating of the economy, I think.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, people hear this and they probably think, yeah, in an area like Northwest Arkansas that, is constantly being touted as one of the best places to live, we have issues, right? I mean, food insecurity. But this is another issue, is just making sure that we continue to develop our adult community in a lot of different ways, right? Because we think I went to college, so I just naturally assume everybody went to college. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. And I forget what this, I think it's 1/3 of all U.S. adults have gone to college. So then 2/3 have not gone to college. Right. So when you think of the number of people that haven't gone to college, doesn't mean that they don't continue to evolve and develop, right? And that there needs to be opportunities and places for them to go to, scratch that itch when it does come up, right? Because I think that's the other thing, is that we need to be challenging each other to be better and do better for ourselves personally so that we can continue to evolve our, areas of influence in our society.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. I mean, you're right. Like, depending on our background or what our personal situation is, we're not maybe aware of the other things that are happening in our own community. And we're located in South Fayetteville. And I think for many years, South Fayetteville is also changing. There was a good population of our students that were homeless, and providing services to get them out of certain situations was also something that we prided ourselves on.
Sure, that's right.
And so, I think that there's still so much more work to be done. And so we appreciate you having us here, because I think part of it is just awareness.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm sharing my platform with you, because I want people to hear this, because even if just one person hears it and says, oh man, Jessica and Ahu really sparked something in me, I want to either help, or I want to either share this with somebody that needs to hear this. But I think sometimes people just need that one spark, right? Whether it's an idea, whether it's just a source of inspiration, so that they can get off of their, and go out and do something amazing.
And I can say that our students feel comfortable enough to contact with us and share their everything, to reach their goals. And they trust us on that too.
Sure.
Once we have that connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important. I mean, just the simple fact that you give out your personal cell for people to connect with you, and it just shows. It's kind of like the teachers in grade school that are bringing in their own supplies.
Right.
Just the little thing. It's those little things that go. And in a country as rich as ours, I mean, most of that stuff should not really have to happen, right? It should just be in place. And again, we are an imperfect situation, and we're continuing to grow and evolve. And so with what you guys are doing, I think it's important for people to know about it. It's important for people to create context and provide opportunities and to help where and when possible. So, So now you say the programs that you do, it's not just in person, but there also are virtual options and they're online apps that people are able to utilize?
Exactly. Yes. Well, me, in my citizenship class, it's always a smaller class than the others. So they sometimes say, hey, can we meet on Zoom, teacher? Right away. We are on Zoom.
You're on Zoom. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And we also offer really great programs that are free. There's lots of different learning ladders that you can use.
Sure. Any quick story you guys want to tell about a specific student, or just, without, you don't have to give names or anything, but just something that really moved you guys and furthered your why? Like why you do this stuff on a regular basis, why you get up every morning and do this adult education. Anything that comes to mind that really stands out that you'd like to share?
Well, I sometimes say I need to write a book about this.
I know,
I have lots
so many. There's so many. I know we had this lady that had I'm probably telling maybe the details wrong because it's been so many years, but I think she maybe had 8 kids, and she never had a chance to go to high school, and she was really busy and she was impoverished. And she finally had a chance to go to get her diploma. And I think she graduated when she was 72.
Wow.
And she had a cane, and she came to school every day on the city bus. And then she registered for NWAC and started college after our program. And
that's amazing.
I think she was with us for maybe 3 or 4 years. And I always loved that one because it really was the situation that you can do anything. And she was a speaker at our graduation, almost like our valedictorian or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. Those stories motivate me whenever I read a story about and it's always like a janitor or somebody that went back to school. He's now 80, but he went back and got his GED. I remember there was a woman that graduated from my alma mater. I went to Howard University, and she was like 89 when she had always wanted to go to Howard, and she finally made it up there in her 80s and got her degree.
Amazing.
And so it's never too late.
Never too late. Never.
The only time that it's too late is once you are graveyard dead.
Right.
Yes,
once you're graveyard dead, then it's too late. But before that time, if there is an
you
ounce
still have time.
Yes, if there is an ounce of breath in you, and somebody listening to this needs this motivation and that kick in the pants, if Ahu and Jessica didn't do it for you with what they shared about the adult education program here in Fayetteville, I don't know what will. But maybe you need to rewind this episode and listen to it again and share it with a friend. So, but seriously, Ahu, Jessica, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. If somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact with the adult education program?
Well, we are, if they simply Google Fayetteville Adult Education Center, our address and school information is there. Okay. We have Facebook page and an Instagram, Twitter, and you want to share
What's
our
the phone number?
Our phone number is 479-444-3041, and we are at 612 South College in Fayetteville.
There you go. 612 South College.
Our school is known as Jefferson Center.
Jefferson Center.
So when you say Jefferson Center, people say, oh, I know Jefferson Center.
That is. Okay, perfect. Well, you got it. Well, Jessica Ferguson, Ahu Johnson, thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. We appreciate you sharing your story. We appreciate all the efforts and time that you put into this. And we know that it's a yeoman's task. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart and from everybody else here in Northwest Arkansas that your work is being seen and heard. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Randy.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Here.
Well,
thank you.
The pleasure was all mine. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I hope you guys like this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, shoot me an email. Let me know what you thought. If you know somebody that needs to hear this episode, please share it with them. Remember, sharing is caring. I'm Randy Wilburn, the host of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Remember, we come out every Monday, rain or shine. So we'll have a new episode for you next week. That's all I have for you right now. I'll see you soon. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit iamnorthwestarkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.